Welcome to the Unfuck Your Fitness podcast. I am your host, Christy Castillo, and I'm here to give you real talk and cut the BS so you can actually enjoy building a body you love. I'm a personal trainer obsessed with giving you simple action steps to take you from feeling stuck to feeling sexy. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. Today I am going to be dropping some facts about fat loss. We're going to be talking all about fat loss, some of the things that I think are misconceptions, and I guess I feel like there's just a lack of knowledge around fat loss. And I say this because I was totally guilty. I didn't understand the difference between weight loss and fat loss. I didn't even know that I guess I wanted to lose fat. I just thought, the number on the scale was the end all be all. I didn't really know there was a difference. I guess it's just a matter of being uneducated, not having the knowledge in that area. But what I really specialize in is fat loss and muscle gain, and specifically doing that simultaneously if that is something that is a goal of my client. And so all along, since I became a personal trainer, I didn't realize that's what I was doing. But what I was doing with myself even was losing fat and gaining muscle. And I just happened to do that because I had started to really want to understand macros. I really liked working out a certain way. And those two things married together for me looked like fat loss. And that is probably partly because I didn't have a lot of weight to lose. But just because you don't have weight to lose doesn't mean that you can't obviously shape up and get healthy and gain muscle and change your body completely. Because while the number on the scale for me, when I started my weight loss journey after the birth of my second child, like 14 years ago, almost 15, just because the number on the scale was quote unquote good or healthy, or what most people deemed as like, wow, you look great. I would give anything to weigh that number. You're so skinny, all the quote unquote compliments people thought they were giving me. While that's great that other people thought that I looked so good and appreciated my body and loved the number on the scale for me, they loved that for me, but I didn't love that for myself. I didn't like what I looked in the mirror. I didn't like what I was staring at. I didn't like how I felt. I didn't like that I was restricting foods. I didn't like that I was obsessed with cardio. Like, just because you weigh a certain amount doesn't mean that you can't improve on your body. And so weight loss is not the same thing as fat loss. And as I went on through helping women, what I found that I was really passionate about was helping women understand the difference between weight loss and fat loss, because you can't control your weight loss. You can't control you really can't control how quickly your body loses fat and gains muscle. But in my opinion, you can control that more so. I would actually say you can control that a little bit, but I don't know if that's too unscientifically unable to be proven. I don't know. I don't know. This is my podcast. I can say whatever the fuck I want, but I have a hard time saying that that's actually true anyway, what I'm trying to say is you can't control the number on this scale as far as like when it goes up, when it goes down based on your overall weight, because of your hormones, because of all these different things, right? That this episode is not about. But what you can control, in my opinion, I'm just going to say it because it is my podcast. So here we go. You can control your fat loss and you can control your muscle gain, because your fat loss is based on your macros and your muscle gain is based on your workouts. So boom, there you go. You can control it. It is what it is. So I just feel like there's a misconception there. And what's really cool about that is, if you think about what I just said, you can control it. You are in control of how fast you lose fat and how quickly you gain muscle. And that's pretty freaking cool. To think that you actually can be in control of your weight loss journey, your fat loss journey, your muscle gain journey. Like, you can be in control of your body. That's a pretty freaking cool thing. Now, there are a few things that I'm going to get into here that you can't control or that I want you to be aware of. But in general, the fact that you can be in control of some of this is pretty flippin' cool. So a lot of women come to me wanting the number on the scale to go down. They're wanting to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I want to lose like 10 pounds. And that's great, but it's also very vague. Like, do you only want to lose weight, or do you want your body to change? Do you want to be stronger? Do you want to lose fat, or do you want to lose muscle? Like, where do you want that weight loss to come from? You know, if you think about what your body's made of, if the number on the scale is going down and you're going to lose weight, it has to consist of something. It has to be muscle and it has to be fat. Like, it has to be one or the other. And I really pride myself in, and I love to teach women to lose fat and gain the confidence in the process that comes along with that. And so throughout my journey, I have really made that very clear to women. Like, you actually, while you do think you want the number on the scale to move and you think that's what's most important, it's not. You do want to feel a certain way. You do want to learn certain things. You do want to be in control. And ultimately, you do want to lose fat. Like, you do want the number on the scale to go down, but you also want your jean size to go down. You also want to build your confidence and have more energy. Like, you want so many more things. And so it's not just a matter of that weight loss. And so I really get to the bottom of that with my clients. Like, okay, if you do want to lose weight, what else do you want? And what sacrifice is that going to have? And what's that going to mean for you? And are you willing to do that? And are you also aware of X, Y, and Z, these other factors that come into play? And what this comes down to is them realizing that they do want this overall package. You know, you want this overall view of health. And honestly, what that comes down to is being able to burn fat, lose fat, and build muscle, because that's ultimately the body that you want to have. Like, that's ultimately the dream, is for you to look a certain way as well as have that number on the scale go down. So there are 5 different facts about fat loss that I want you to know, I want you to understand, I want you to grasp, because I do hear a lot of different things when ladies first come to me. Like, they do want to lose some weight. They do want to tone their stomach. They do want to lose fat, specifically from their midsection. I hear this one a lot. Christy, how can I lose the fat on the back of my arms? So it's like spot reduction. There's a couple things that you can do, and there are ways to do that. Build muscle in those areas, lose fat, but it's an overall package. You can't spot reduce. There aren't certain, basic ab crunches that will like help you lose fat. That's not how it works. And so I want to get into a couple different facts about fat loss in this episode that will hopefully help you understand your journey, so that you're not trying to do these certain exercises, hoping that they yield a certain result when that's never going to happen and you get frustrated. So, number 1, fat does not turn into muscle. People will a lot of times say to me, I just want to turn this fat into muscle. I don't mind the number on the scale. I just want to turn my fat into muscle. Well, that's not how it works. And so to understand how it works is a huge benefit in this process, because if you're trying to turn fat to muscle and you don't even know how to do that because you literally can't, you're going to be stuck, right? So fat is fat, muscle is muscle. You have to build the muscle and you have to lose the fat. A lot of people say this cannot be done simultaneously, but my clients and myself have proven this otherwise. This is done by hitting the correct macros for your body and doing the appropriate weightlifting workouts for your body. So in order to look toned, what that means is you can see some muscle on your body. When you see someone that is toned, you can see muscle and you see perfect curves and you just see strength, right? Well, they didn't just do that by losing weight. They had to build the muscle that's underneath that layer of fat and skin, and then they have to lose some of that layer of fat that's under the skin to expose the muscle. So there's something to be said for knowing that fat does not turn into muscle. So if that's something that you say, you need to stop saying that and realize that you need to lose the fat and you need to build the muscle. Fat is fat, muscle is muscle. Also, this is not in my notes, but they weigh the same, right? So a pound of muscle weighs the same as a pound of fat. They both weigh a pound, but fat is bigger and muscle is smaller, more dense, and fat takes up more space on your body. Muscle takes up less space on your body. So you can be losing fat, gaining muscle pound for pound, but you will appear smaller because the muscle is smaller, but you will weigh the same if you're losing and gaining at the same time. Number 2, if you are lifting weights and in a deficit, meaning not eating enough or as much as your body needs for maintenance, you will not put on muscle at the same rate as you lose body fat. Muscle growth is very slow, and it's even slower if you're in a deficit and not feeding your body enough. So if you're not eating enough and you start lifting weights and you're grinding and you're just feeling kind of fluffy and you're not losing weight and you don't know what's going on and your body's still holding on to fat, that if your scale is stuck, it's not because your muscle growth is hiding your fat loss. A lot of people will say, well, I'm gaining muscle and losing fat, at the same time. That's why my scale is stuck. But if you are not changing physically, like when I do this for my ladies, they can see the difference, right? They can feel the difference. They're like, my clothes are fitting so much differently. I am shrinking physically, but the scale is staying the same. If the scale is staying the same and physically you're not seeing any size change, you are not eating enough. Because if you're not eating enough, your body will not get rid of the fat fast enough, and your body will not be able to grow the muscle fast enough. So just one more reason why eating enough food is so beneficial, not even beneficial, but freaking necessary to have the goddamn dream body that you want. You have to be eating enough. There is a place for a calorie deficit, a time and a place, but building muscle is not the time and a place for a calorie deficit. Number 3, you cannot spot reduce fat. Doing ab crunches will not get rid of the fat on your lower stomach. Your genetics will decide ultimately where you lose fat first and where it comes off last on your body. There's not a whole lot you can do as far as where your body decides to get rid of fat first. Like you can't spot reduce. You can't choose whether or not you lose stomach fat before you lose the fat on the back of your arms. You can lose fat, period. Where it comes from on your body has a lot to do with your genetics. Also, visually, you can change that by growing your triceps, right? So you can grow that muscle on the back of your arm. You can grow the muscles in your abs, but that's not going to help you lose the fat there. So a lot of people come to me in the DMs and they're like, I really want to get rid of this stomach fat. Can I do crunches? Can I do core work? Do I need to get a medicine ball and do sit-ups? Unfortunately, none of that is going to help you lose fat on your stomach. That is done through diet, macros alone. Number 4, this is huge. Just because you lose weight, even if it's all fat, it does not mean that it will fix your confidence issues. You have to do the internal work too. I think so often we forget and we think that just because if I can lose weight, if I could just lose 10 pounds and I could weigh 10 pounds less, or if I could get into such and such a jean size, or if I could just shrink a little bit, or whatever the case may be, that I will be so happy and I will be so confident and I will love myself and I'll feel so much better. And that is just not true. Every single person that I have coached that has gotten to their goal physically without doing that inner work feels like they still have work to do. That's why it's so important that you focus on the journey, you focus on the knowledge, you focus on the habits and the workouts that you will love and things that you can do consistently forever, because that's where the magic happens. 100% I can guarantee you, just because you lose that weight does not mean that it will fix your confidence issues. Weight loss is not a fix. It's not something that will change you forever. I've said this in a couple of episodes back. It's not something that changes your life or changes who you are. You think that it's going to help you, and being healthy, sure, it's very important. And what you look like physically has a huge effect on who you are and how you act. But unfortunately, the weight loss, the physical work without the internal work won't result in confidence for you. Number 5, you will be on a fat loss high the first 2 weeks of your new program, and then shit's gonna get real for you. So what I mean by this is when you start a program, the first 2 weeks, you're pretty excited and you are riding that high. I always just call it a high. You will put in any of the work, any amount of soreness that shows up. You think it's amazing. You'll push through it. You'll try all the things. You'll buy all the supplements. You are ready to roll. You are, even if you're like staying the same, or even if you gain a pound, you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I'm doing such a good job. I'm sure that's muscle growth that I'm seeing, or whatever you have to tell yourself to kind of get through that. And then after that first 2 weeks, when shit gets real, this is when most people quit. This is when you have to push through, and this is when you have to keep going. Fat loss is not for the faint of heart. I'm telling you right now, it is freaking hard, but it's also so simple. It's so much more simple than just weight loss alone, because you do have a plan and you do have things to work toward every day. And you can seriously see 10 at least small wins, or even medium-sized wins, or even big wins, depending on your goals, daily if you are trying to lose fat, because you have so many different parts that play into it. But do be aware that when you first start something, like any program, right? But especially when you're on a fat loss high, because you feel like you have so many things to do and it is so simple and you can just crush this, and you feel like it's possible, and all of those things are great. And you feel like you are going to gain muscle and you are going to lose fat, and you understand it and you have the knowledge. But then after that first 2 weeks, you're like, all right, God damn it. I'm tired. I'm sore. I'm maybe not losing weight as fast as I thought I would. Like, can I really do this? Is this working? You will start, and when I say shit gets real, like, it gets real. And I get all the messages, and a lot of people quit. And a lot of people don't want to put in the simple work, and it's easier to just cut out carbs. Just, I'm not going to buy bread anymore. That's it. Like, that's simpler. And it's literally not simpler. That's actually harder. But after that first 2 weeks of that quote unquote high that you are on, it does get real. And it's really good to have someone by your side to kind of coach you through those times and those moments of when you are really, really struggling. But a few weeks later, I would say after about 8 weeks, my ladies will ride a continuous high. And this is how it was for me too. I started this journey when I finally understood it. I was like, oh my God, this makes so much freaking sense. I did it the first 2 weeks. I was on it. I was ready to go. I can do this. And then after that, that's when I decided to hire coaches. And that's when I decided to get my workout programs from other people. And that's when I decided I needed to go outside of myself, because that was really, really hard for me to be like, God, I know all of the things. I know I'm doing this right. I know this is the right path, but I need some help. And so it took about 8 weeks of that to be like, okay, I can really see how this is a lifestyle. It's simple. All I need to do is keep going and do most of this stuff consistently every day, every week, whatever. It's just like all about consistency. And it really did help me to be able to push through and keep going. So those are some facts about fat loss. So when you are understanding that fat loss is different than weight loss, it's so much different, but it's so much better. When you realize that you can't spot reduce, when you realize that you will have to do that internal work as well. And actually a lot of that comes with this process of doing it the right way. This fat loss journey it's so much better than the weight loss journey alone. But these are just some facts that I want you to have. So when you're talking about different things, you understand the truth. And also it's nice to be able to, when you hear your friends talking about certain things, or when your friend will say, turning my fat into muscle, you'll be able to correct them and know what you're talking about. It's just that confidence with each time you see something on the internet talking about weight loss, or just some BS that you can call out, right? You see a reel or you see some exercise that's brand new and you're like, no, I don't need to do that bullshit exercise. Like, that's stupid. Christy said I don't need to do that. And you feel more confident with all of this knowledge. You're just being more confident and more consistent and more concrete in your own journey. And that's what it's all about. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, follow me on Christy Castillo Fit. Share this episode with your friends. I love hearing from you as usual, and I will talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to today's show. Go ahead and leave a rating and a review. And of course, follow the podcast so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And I would love it so much if you came to connect with me over on Instagram at Christy Castillo Fit. I will see you next time.